So we have seen that we're on page 8, Canto 1, the symbol dawn, and we have seen that Savitri has to make a decision. What is she going to do with her life? And this is a flashback, of course, because she already knows that Satyavan's going to die. So we see that she is loved by everyone, and she loves everyone. But this dark foreknowledge, she already knows, and that foreknowledge is separating her from all of whom she was the star and stay. The stay here means not the stay that we understand, but it means a support. So from all of whom she was the star, obviously she is a star to everyone, but she's also the support of everyone. Too great to impart the peril and the pain, in her torn depths she kept the grief to come. Why are her depths torn? Because she knows that her beloved answering soul will be dead in 12 months. Her depths are torn by this knowledge. Don't forget, she doesn't realize she's the Divine Mother yet. She doesn't realize that she's an emanation of her yet. But now he says that she begins to know who she is. As one who, watching over men left blind, takes up the load of an unwitting race, harboring a foe whom with her heart she must feed, unknown her act, unknown the doom she faced, unhelped she must foresee and dread and dare. Oh, so we see, first of all, just like one who watches over men left blind and takes up the responsibility for them, an unwitting race. Unwitting means not knowing, unaware, ignorant race. She has to harbor this foe, who she has to feed with her heart. That's death. But her act is unknown. Unknown her act, unknown the doom she faced. Unhelped, she must foresee and dread and dare. Whoa. Sri Aurobindo uses three things here, three uns. Unknown, unknown, unhelped. Very interesting. Unknown, nobody knows what her act is going to be, what she's going to be. No one knows the doom she faced. And unhelped, that means totally alone, she must foresee. Foresee is what? Foresee the coming of death. And dread, because it's a fearful thing. And dare. She has to dare to face him down and conquer him so that the light can appear on the earth and the divine life can be realized. Then Sri Aurobindo is going to take us to this noon, the long foreknown and fatal morn was here. Now, as I said, this is a flashback, and so the morning of Satyavan's death has arrived. See, we're only in book 1, but we're learning about this already. The long foreknown. She knew it because when she met Narad and her parents and told them that she was going to marry him, Narad did have to disclose that he would be dead in 12 months. So the long foreknown and fatal morn was here. It's a fatal morn because she could fail. She may not succeed. We don't know that yet. And then he says so beautifully, bringing a noon that seemed like every noon. Because noon seems like every noon. We go outside, we see the noon, but nobody knows what she has to go through. Then there's a full stop. And then he tells us, oh boy, for nature, capital N, walks upon her mighty way, unheeding when she breaks a soul, a life, leaving her slain behind, she travels on. Man only marks, and God's all-seeing eyes. Now, Ranganath and I had a disagreement, kindly disagreement on these lines, but for me they're very clear. Nature is always creating and at the same moment destroying. At the same moment. She's building something up, she's breaking something down. So the dinosaur comes, it has its time, nature finds something better, dinosaur is gone. This is the way nature works. She has eternity to create the supermental. Eternity. Why should she rush? She's enjoying herself. Yeah, we say that nature's unconscious, but nothing's unconscious in life. There is a consciousness in nature that experiments with good, with bad, with things that have to be destroyed and things that have to be moved forward. So we have the line, for nature walks upon her mighty way. Unheeding, she's not heeding, she doesn't care when she breaks a soul, a life. Leaving her slain behind, she travels on. Well, this is gone, something new has come. But this is also the feeling of, in Indian spirituality, Shiva destroying, Vishnu preserving, and Brahma creating. Okay? So we see that nature is doing the same thing in her own way, only slowly. And what happened was that Mother approached nature. Do you know about that? No. She approached nature. And she asked nature to collaborate with her. Nature said, not interested. And Mother said to her, but if you collaborate with me, you will become more beautiful, more powerful. And finally, nature agreed. And nature is now collaborating. We can see it in the plants most easily. There are new species coming that we have never seen before. New hybrids are coming every day. Something new is coming. It's extraordinary. Things are blooming here in Oroville that we said would never bloom. Collective harmony is blooming today in Machamandia. Collective harmony. It likes cold weather. It likes a good freeze. We have two plants of static beauty, the camellia, budding. They're about to bloom. We're seeing things we never saw before. So, leaving her slain behind, this is nature, leaving her slain behind, she travels on. But then this line, which I think Ranga didn't quite understand, but man only marks and God's all-seeing eyes. Yes, we mark things, we see things. Of course, God sees everything, but only man on earth can mark these changes, these extraordinary evolutions, even when they're in the plant world or the animal world. So now he moves on, and he's going to tell us more about Savitri. Even in this moment of her soul's despair, in its grim rendezvous with death and fear, no cry broke from her lips, no call for aid. She told the secret of her woe to none. Calm was her face, and courage kept her mute. I think this is very clear to all of us, huh? We don't really need to explain this at all.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the previous morning, when Savitri started, it started with this is the day, or
When Satyavan must die.
yeah.
It's
So
the
it was the night time, is it?
Hmm?
This is the day when Satyavan. So what hour was that? It's like morning 4 a.m.
No, he dies in the middle of the day.
Middle of the day. So this is the middle of the day, right? In the eighth
Well,
page itself.
brings a noon that seemed like every noon. Yeah, it's the middle of the day. Exactly correct. Good. Yet only her outward self suffered and strove. Even her humanity was half divine. Her spirit opened to the spirit in all. Notice that he has a lowercase s for the first spirit and uppercase for the second. So the first one is Savitri's spirit, opening to the universal spirit in everything. So this is very, very beautiful, because he then says her nature felt all nature as its own. Again, lowercase n, uppercase n. Savitri's nature felt all nature as its own. We have to pay close attention at times to punctuation, capitalization, and the music of Savitri, which is so important. We have man. Man only marks. Man marks moment. 3 M's. We have her spirit, her nature. Now, her dread and her strength. Look at all these hers that are coming to us. Apart, living within, all lives she bore. Now we're beginning to see that she is an emanation of the Divine Mother. She is bearing all lives within her, but she is living within, and she's holding those lines, bore, past tense of bear. She bore all these lives within her. And we will see in the future that all love was hers. All love was hers. We see it many times in Savitri. But now he says, there's a semicolon after bore, aloof. She has to be aloof from everyone. She carried in herself the world. Sri Aurobindo is not finished yet. He's got a colon there. Now, he usually tells us that he only does about 6 lines, but he breaks that rule all the time. So this time we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines, okay. Her dread was one with the great cosmic dread. The cosmic dread is that we all die. We all die. Everyone has to die. Sri Aurobindo says no.
Is it not pralaya? Usually it's not pralaya. Great cosmic thread.
Uh, the great cosmic dread.
It's like pralaya.
Yeah, it's sort of like pralaya. I would say yes. It is, but pralaya doesn't have to be a dread. It's just that movement of dissolution.
Uh,
So he next says, her strength was founded on the cosmic mights. Now we see, beginning to see how powerful Savitri is. And then lastly, the universal mother's love was hers. So he's led us all along here that he tells us about nature, he tells us about Savitri and this morn that has come, but that she says nothing to anyone. She's aloof, calm is her face, even her humanity is half divine. And he ends with that beautiful line, the universal mother's love was hers. Now he's going to go into a different area. And he begins with the line, against the evil at life's afflicted roots. Afflicted. If someone is afflicted with something, someone is distressed with bodily pain or troubled greatly, grievously depressed. So we see now that against the evil of life's afflicted roots, her own calamity, its private sign. What is her own calamity?
That we are going to die.
Yes, it's the knowledge that brings an event that brings a terrible loss, lasting distress, severe affliction, disaster. Her own calamity, its private sign. A private sign of what? The world's afflicted roots. Of her pangs. Pangs. We know what a pang is when it touches our heart, at pain. Of her pangs, she made a mystic, poignant sword. Now, the word poignant is pronounced poignant. Not the G is never pronounced. It's not poignant. The G is never pronounced. Poignant. Now, of her pangs, she made a mystic, poignant sword. He's going to tell us more. A solitary mind, a worldwide heart. To the lone immortal's unshared work, she rose. Now you would ask, why is this immortal, capital I, the divine's unshared work? No one except the Divine Mother can share this work. None of us can do it. We're little nothings, really. Unfortunately, I have to say that. Then, at first, life grieved not in her burdened breast. Well, to be burdened is to be weighed down with something. But life is not grieving yet in her burdened breast. She still has Satyavan. She still has her lover. And when we read Satyavan and Savitri, we understand more about divine love. It's such a beautiful passage. Pray that I live long enough to get there with you. On the lap of Earth's original somnolence. On the lap, Earth is sleeping, drowsy, sleepy. On the lap of Earth's original somnolence. Inert, not moving, unable to move, immobile, unmoving, lifeless. Released into forgetfulness. Prone it reposed, unconscious, on mind's verge. Prone, of course, is usually lying with its face down, and we see Earth lying down like that. Obtuse and tranquil, like the stone and star. The stone is tranquil. It's obtuse also, it's a bit dull. We can't say that there's no consciousness because there is always a movement of energy in everything, in all life, even in matter, even in the stone. But it's obtuse and tranquil. What is obtuse and tranquil? Well, it's this original sleepiness of Earth. And it's sort of released into forgetfulness, he tells us. Maybe it had previously marvelous incarnations. We've heard about Lemuria, we've heard about Atlantis, and these civilizations were destroyed. If we look at the Incas, and on the top of those highest mountains, there are landing fields for planes that we've never understood. We still don't understand them, how they could land there. Gigantic, vast things. So we see that Earth is obtuse and tranquil like the stone and star.
Naranji,
Yes.
obtuse stone, tranquil star, shall we take like that? No.
What? Sorry?
Obtuse stone was like obtuse, and star, tranquil star. Shall we take it in that sense?
No, he says both are the same.
Same.
Obtuse and tranquil, like the stone and star. So, like both of them. Then he begins telling us something else about Savitri. In a deep cleft of silence, twixt two realms, she lay remote from grief, unsawn by care, nothing recalling of the sorrow here. Now, those lines were at one time a little difficult for me, but I understand them now. In a deep cleft, a cleft is like a crevice, a split, but it's a deep cleft of silence. Twixt is an old-fashioned word that is a contraction of betwixt. But if Sri Aurobindo used the betwixt, he'd have one beat too many in the line, and it would not be iambic pentameter. So he uses the word twixt, between. In a deep cleft of silence, twixt two realms, the realm of earth and the realm of heaven. She's lying there. She lay remote from grief, unsawn by care. Now, unsawn is a strange word. And I asked my Upaguru, Aurobindo Basu, what does it actually mean? And he says, not cut or divided as with a saw. So it's unsawn, not cut up by what? By care or grief. Interesting words. We always have to be so careful when we read Sri Aurobindo's words. Nothing here is by accident. Every word he has used, he consciously placed it. Even an and or a the has a meaning. Now, Savitri. In a deep, nothing recalling of the sorrow here. Then a slow, faint remembrance, shadow-like, moved, and sighing, She laid her hand upon her bosom and recognized the close and lingering ache, deep, quiet, old, made natural to its place, but knew not why it was there, nor whence it came. So she is aware of this faint remembrance of death, of pain, of the earth, and it moves sort of shadow-like in front of her, and she sighs. And sighing, she laid her hand upon her bosom, and recognized the close and lingering ache. And what is that close and lingering ache? Well, it's deep, it's quiet, it's old, it's made natural to its place. Natural to its place means it's the work of the Divine Mother. It could not be natural to any other one, any other place. But she didn't know why it was there, and nor whence it came. Whence is another word like twixt. What does whence mean to anyone?
When?
Whence?
When?
No, not when. Anybody? Whence means from what place, from that place. So we have, it was natural to its place, but she didn't know why it was there, nor for what reason it came. Whence, nor whence it came. Why didn't she know that? Because the power, capital P, that kindles mind was still withdrawn. She felt it. She knew what was going to happen, but she didn't know why that deep, quiet, old, close, and lingering ache was there. Because the power that kindles mind was still withdrawn. Now, he begins another passage. Heavy, unwilling were life's servitors. Servitors are attendants or servants. Like workers with no wages of delight. Sullen, the torch of sense refused to burn. The unassisted brain found not its past. So you see what she's going through as she's being here quiet, aloof from everyone, but giving her love to everyone. Something's going to happen. Only a vague earth nature held the frame. So her body is not held yet by the mind or the vital. It's just held by an earth nature. But now she stirred. Her life shared the cosmic load. At the summons of her body's voiceless call, her strong, far-winging spirit traveled back to the yoke of ignorance and fate, back to the labor and stress of mortal days, lighting a pathway through strange symbol dreams across the ebbing of the seas of sleep. Such poetry, such beautiful poetry. Let's look at it for a moment and then we'll have to break. She stirs, and her life begins to share this cosmic load. and her body is summoning something. It has a voiceless call. It's summoning something, and her far-winging spirit, which is very strong, traveled back. Back to what? Back to the yoke. We know what a yoke is. It's
Holding together.
some more than holding together. It's a burden. The yoke is a burden on the two bullocks that have to thresh the grain. A yoke is a burden. Only when it becomes that we are yoked to the divine, then there's no longer a burden. So back to the yoke of ignorance. See, he's very clear. It's not to the yoke of the divine. It's back to the yoke of ignorance and fate. And remember that Narad has said that fate is inevitable. You cannot get out of it. Except that Mother tells us now we can. And Sri Aurobindo. That Mother can lift it. Back to the labor and stress of mortal days. All of us know that line. We all know the labor and stress of mortal days. My gosh. But then he has this two beautiful lines. Lighting a pathway through strange symbol dreams across the ebbing. What's an ebbing? It's a flowing back of the tide, huh? It's an ebbing of the seas of sleep. Across the ebbing. So when it's ebbing, the flowing back, the tide flows from high water to low water, and we begin to see the beach, the shore. So here it is across the ebbing of the seas of sleep. They're ebbing. She's beginning to see more and more. So 4 more lines and we'll quit. Her house of nature, capital N, felt an unseen sway. Oh, she's feeling this. Illumined swiftly were life's darkened rooms, and memory's casements opened on the hours, and the tired feet of thought approached her doors. So her house of nature feels this sway, and these darkened rooms of life, we have plenty of them. They're in our mind, they're in our vital, they're in our body itself. They were swiftly illumined. And memory's casements. What is a casement, anybody?
Boxes. Boxes.
No. A casement. It's a window. So memory's casements opened on the hours. How beautiful. What an image, huh? Memory's casements opened on the hours. And then what happens? And the tired feet of thought approached her doors. Thought has finally come into her. The mind is working now. We've learned so much in these few lines. And it's so powerful, so beautiful. If we look at all of this again, and maybe would you like to read today what we just did? Why don't you go through that?
Okay. From where, Naradji?
From page 8, the last.
Okay. Our own calamity, its private sign. Of a pang she made a mystic poignant sword.
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 The W is not pronounced again.
Sword. A solitary mind, a worldwide heart. To the lone immortal's unshared work she rose. At first life grieved not in a burdened breast. On the lap of earth's original somnolence, inert, released into forgetfulness, prone it reposed, unconscious on mind's verge. obtuse and tranquil like the stone and star. In a deep cleft of silence twixt two realms, she lay remote from grief, unsown by care, nothing recalling of the sorrow here. Then a slow, faint remembrance, shadow-like, moved, and sighing, she laid her hand upon her bosom and recognized the close and lingering ache, deep, quiet, old, made natural to its place, but knew not why it was there, nor whence it came. The power that kindles mind was still withdrawn, heavy, unwilling were life's servitors, like workers with no wages of delight. Sullen, the torch of sense refused to burn. The unassisted brain found not its past. Only a vague earth nature held the frame. But now she stirred, her life shared the cosmic law. At the summons of a body's voiceless call, her strong, far-winging spirit travelled back to the yoke of ignorance and fate, back to the labor and stress of mortal days, lighting a pathway through strange symbol dreams, across the ebbing of the seas of sleep. Her house of nature felt an unseen sway, illumined swiftly where life's darkened rooms, and memory's casements opened on the hours, and the tired feet of thought approached her doors.
Fairly good reading. Illumined is not correct. It's illumined.
Illumined.
And then you are accenting some places that shouldn't be accented.
Oh,
The unassisted brain found not its past? No. The unassisted brain found not its past. And then there's one other word that most people make a mistake on. We say remember,
oh,
but it's not remembrance. It's remembrance.
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 Remembrance. There's no ER in that, no remembrance. Remembrance. Good. We meet again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are life servitors?
Huh?
What are life servitors?
Life's servants.
Servitors, yeah.
Do we walk? Well, our feet are one of our servitors.
So is that the context in which
Do we eat? That's another servitor. All these life servitors are helping us. We think, we speak, we act, we have anger, we have pain, we have calm. All these life servitors are working on us. But most of the time, they're not our servants, but they're our masters. Very often they're our masters. Huh? The mind says this. The vital says this. And it usually has control. We have to learn how to get out of that. Thank you all. Namaste.